So that pushed over easy enough. So I've got a pile of blocks ready to balance the door on. And a couple of observations on these hinges. Before you drop this pin in the hinge, put your inner bolts in place. Depending on how many spaces you've got, you won't be able to get these bolts in afterwards, so put these in actually it's these bolts you can't get in. There's not enough room behind the wing there to get them in, possibly. And what I'm using here are M6 bolts, because you have to, these can always stay in, these have to come out each time you change a shim, and M6 just whizzes in and out so easily. And then when you're done, you can swap that for the proper bolt, or just put a lock nut on the back, which is what I might do. So ready to see what that looks like. This is the damage to my bonnet. This is all twisted in. You can see it's split there, that shouldn't be there. It was all bashed in here and split. And this edge is broken away from that flange. Pretty much the same on both sides, although not split as much. And I just managed to get this dolly in through there to get to this area. This area I couldn't, but this tire lever slipped in there, and that helped me get this out. So I'm going to put a steel plate in here underneath, quite a big one, and rivet it, I think. And this flange is held on with some pop rivets and some tack welds. So I've cleaned off all the old tack welds, and I'll be able to rivet that back down again. And then inside that is this large plate. So you've got a bolt here which just acts to hold the plate in place, and you've got that movement on this, and then that movement on the hinges. So try and get all that sorted out. Got my hinges ready to go back in. These are my bonnet hinges, and they were seized and they've damaged the bonnet, but I think I can get around that. But trying to get them back in here on the bulkhead. And I'm on the left hand side here, and what I've found is if you put a little bit of threaded bar in there, and this is M6, which that'll fit fine for this purpose, because you need really tiny hands to get in there and wiggle that around, but if you can just put that in and just hook it through, and then hopefully I'll be able to put the hinge on, bolt up the bottom ones, and take out the top pin and put the proper bolt in. That part's worked alright. If you look at this hole here, this has been fettled by hand, and the bolt, if it's going to focus, won't actually slide up and down that slot. So it looks like one hole was their first attempt, and the second hole there is that one. So I'm going to clean that hole up, that one as well. The bolt won't, it's like a figure of 8 rather than a slot. So I'll clean that up just in case I need that bit of movement. That's worked. You've really got to put a temporary nut on that stud though, because you haven't got enough hands to hold the hinge in place and hold the plate and stop it moving. And but if you just nip that up, it'll keep everything solid while you get the bottom nuts in. Ready for a trial fit of the bonnet, and I put a couple of M6 studs in those captive plates to just try and locate it, because I'm doing this on my own, it's a bit fiddly. Had to do some repairs to those hinge panels. Somebody was asking about felt. I've got some felt in there, but there's none anywhere else, so whether that's original I don't know. But I put those studs in the front holes. On the back holes it might, if they're too long they're going to hit that, but I think I'll get away with those on the fronts. The bonnet's on, and that's not too bad. This is the first time I've had the bonnet on properly. When the car came to me, this was sticking up about 3 inches in the air. Fits sort of okay there. I've got a crease here where they forced the bonnet up. That needs addressing. Just carries onto that side a little bit. But for first trial fit, that's not bad. And I haven't got all the bolts in there, and I've not adjusted anything yet. So, happy. Looking at the doors, I've got a bit of a problem on this. I've temporarily braced the front wing, front fender off the chassis. And I don't know if this is contentious, but a couple of XK builders have told me that on the 140 these sides aren't flat. And with a straight edge off the door, so there's a little gap that end, and when it gets to the front you should be about, you reckon, about an inch, which will be about there. Gap is, it's tight there, but I can do something about that. And then it's fairly decent, that's 3.5, 4 mil all the way down. Slightly low on the door here, if anything. Of course, if I pick the door up, it'll make the gap bigger on the bottom, and I don't want to do that really. So I can maybe do something with that. But my problem is this top edge. And I've still got to get the rain gutter in here. This vertical channel will go up and down. There's adjustment inside the door at the bottom. And there's some on this one. But then it'll only go down so far before this quarter light hits the car. And there's a tiny gap under that, but only really enough to get this trim back in. But my gap's good here to here, and then I've got nothing, and I've still got to get the rain gutter in there. I can drop this edge down on the back, and that's sort of okay there, but from here to here I've got nothing, and I've got no more adjustment on this. These are pushed down as far as they'll go. So that's my quandary at the moment. Fairly straight along the bottom. I can work with that. But I've got the same on both doors, both sides. It's tight here. And at the moment I don't know how I can get out of that. Bit on my handbrake because I'm converting to right-hand drive. All I've done there is take this off the other side, weld it onto this side. I had to make a new rivet there. That's like a stepped rivet. And that plate there used to be on that side. And to fix it to the car, I'm going to do it like this. This plate is 3 mil thick. Welded some nuts to that, which line up on that, and I just weld that whole thing to the bracket on the, which is already on the car. which I thought was easier than trying to weld these sort of nuts on upside down in the car. On the bench you can get plenty of weld on it, and these have got to be bang on. I mean, don't even think of trying to file these over. This is rock hard. Well, on mine it is anyway, and you won't make those holes any bigger easily.